Okay, seems that we are live. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be able to present to all of you what we were able to achieve with the RSK, how we are able to add our Oracle to the RSK ecosystem, and what we think will happen next, both in in terms of regulations in the ecosystem, but in terms of probably technology as well.
Likewise, Jacob, a pleasure to be here. It's very exciting what Coinfirm has been doing in terms of compliance and the AMLT, AML space, and our collaborations. I think will provide something to the space that is unique. That is like in the traditional systems, like the only way to sort out compliance was to centralize or intermediaries that were like managing the data and controlling the compliance processes. And now we have the opportunity to create technology that can implement compliance in a peer-to-peer fashion. Of course, there will be third parties providing information, validating doing a curation of the information, if you will, but we can like distribute the compliance to the end users, and that I think is very exciting. It's like
Yep. To briefly introduce myself, my name is Jakub Fiołek. I'm the CTO of Coinfirm, and I also lead on the AMLT project. So AMLT is a token we've built almost 4 years ago to fuel and to bootstrap the compliance ecosystem for on-chain. So Coinfirm is a leader of let's say traditional AML for cryptocurrencies. So we are serving a bunch of exchanges and traditional players, but with the growth of the DeFi and what we are seeing appearing in the space, and with the abilities that are right now in the blockchain ecosystem, we seen that there will be need for something more of a, first of all, distributed, decentralized, more community-based, and definitely on-chain, because even from the technological perspective, it's really hard for most of the DeFis to use and leverage the standard APIs of some external platforms.
Yes, correct. On my side, I'm Diego Gutierrez Aldivar. I'm the CEO of IOB Labs, the organization that created the RSK blockchain technology a few years ago, and also the RSK Infrastructure Services, also known as RIF. And we are an organization that have been pursuing the creation of a financial system or financial infrastructure on top of Bitcoin to serve, billions of users underserved or not served by the traditional financial system. So we acknowledge that, we want to do that in a sovereign way where we protect people's wealth or we give them control of their wealth, but also we need to solve the compliance requirements of the nations where these users live. So because this new infrastructure has to live side by side with the traditional financial regulations of the countries where these people live. So I think for us it's a big, I wouldn't say concern, but it's one of our biggest focus on how we can provide that compliance, how we can give the local regulators the peace of mind in terms of that these technologies will be used for good of the society, sort out the inclusion problem, the financial inclusion problem, but at the same time protect the individual's privacy and sovereignty. So I think it's very interesting because I think now we have the opportunity to sort out all the needs of the different actors in this space without compromising the privacy of individuals, privacy and sovereignty of individuals. And so yes, here we are to talk and discuss a little bit of what's going on and how we think these solutions can sort out that problem.
Yeah, I think that is a common misconception about the AML, especially around the blockchain community, because a lot of people tend to think that what we are doing, we as a Coinfirm or AMLT, is trying to strip them out of their privacy, where currently the actual AML on the blockchain provides much more privacy with meeting regulation than most of the, let's say, traditional solutions. So normally on the exchange, you need to provide the KYC, which automatically informs everyone about who you are, etc. With the AML, a pure AML approach, transaction analytics in the DeFi space, you can still transact. However, you are still meeting certain AML obligations. You are still able to filter out malicious players, which is a huge issue for the blockchain, because most of the first encounters for people in the blockchain is being scammed in some way. So we are still able to provide solutions for this issues and challenges in the ecosystem without being here, give us your passport copy or your electricity bill.
Yes, and yeah, and another element I think is crucial in these decentralized peer-to-peer environments is to provide opt-in solutions, no, or opt-out, whether you want to sit on one side or the other. But all these solutions can be implemented in a way where the users are choosing to comply if they want to or need to. Because, for example, if you are in an institution that is reached by the local regulations, you might say, okay, I only want to interact with people who fulfills the compliance. But if you are an individual that you really don't, for whatever reason, prefer not to opt-in for the compliance process, you can also do it. So in that way, we leave the choice to the individuals. We are not forcing compliance into the users, and then each one it's of course responsible for his or her decisions, but in a way that it's but for those who need it or want it, the solution is there. And so I think that's also a key element of what we are trying to build jointly with Coinfirm.
Yeah, and I think that the numbers actually show that most of the people are not. I don't want to say that they don't want the privacy, but they're able to accept certain type of consensus that, okay, we are not being fully anonymous everywhere. Certain actions are visible because we are on the public blockchain. So obviously we cannot hide that. But there are reasons why the Bitcoin ecosystem is much more popular than, let's say, Monero, and why for example, Samurai wallet is not the most used wallet in the ecosystem, because the hurdle of trying to go around every rule there is set up on the market is just often not worth it, because at the end of the day, regulations and exchanges and even the DeFi implementing certain rules, they have no interest in banning or blocking clients, removing access. It's not the goal, it's not the purpose. What they actually want to do is to protect the users, for example, from scammers. I had recently interesting discussions regarding why AML is beneficial for the end user, even if they don't directly influence it, and for the crypto protocols, because right now, maybe not today, but during every bull run, there is a huge amount of scams, of rug pulls, of hacks, especially in emerging protocols, emerging solutions. So every now and then, someone tries to create slightly different, let's say, swap or some lending protocol, and they are hacked. The harder we make to exchange and liquidate these funds effectively, the harder we make for illicit players to be able to just come and grab whatever they want, the less motivation they have. and the less motivation they have, they are obviously leaving. They are freeing up resources. So instead of focusing on the protecting themselves as much from every hacker everywhere, they are able to focus on the developing new solutions, developing new tools on every blockchain or the compatibility layers between different solutions, etc., etc. So in the long game, the less, as in every community, the less malicious players we have that are playing against the rules and trying to break stuff for their personal gain, the better.
Yeah, I think you're right that, if you have third parties that are trustable, that will inform of, like what you say, blacklisted addresses or addresses that were related to fraud or different illegal activities, then again, I might choose to still transact with those accounts, but I have the information, no? And also, I envision that in the future we'll have these protocols as open protocols where you will have different service providers, and so there will be competition in the quality of the information provided, and the users will choose which providers, like give the more accurate information, which ones are like neutral in the sense that they don't put maybe political things in the way, just like plain needs of the society, in terms of like not helping bad actors, like it can be criminals or violent groups, but then not taking a more neutral position in anything else, like saying, okay, we only will inform, of if this is related to criminal activities and money laundering related to that, or financing of terrorism, which is what I think as a society is what most people is really willing to avoid, but anything else is like beside the needs of the individuals, it's like more on the political realm. So I think in this sense we can like regain the nature of AML, that is truly to protect society from bad actors, the people who use violence to exert certain things, and also leave individuals the opportunity, by being well informed, to choose who they want to transact with or not. So yeah, I agree that in general, I mean, asymmetry of information is always a bad thing for individuals, so what we are talking about here is like providing symmetry of information or providing meaningful information. But I think in this case, what we can do is provide that information in a peer-to-peer fashion, instead of like having one institution intermediating and collecting vast amounts of information for multiple individuals. What we have is individuals having the information only for the transactions they are part of. So then it's compliance to the minimum level possible. That is compliance per transaction related to a specific pair of users or parties involved. So in that way, we are also protecting privacy, because we are not concentrating sensitive information in the hands of one institution. And we had recently some that maybe you, Jacob, can share, but recently we have some bad leakages of sensitive information that was being held by institutions, by central institutions.
Yeah, so I think I will share the screen to show the general. Not sure if this is visible. Okay. To show the general concept of how we see Oracle working. So generally, we have on-chain integration that is fed by our backend, and this is just a start. So right now, blockchain, let's say, capacity cannot take enough information to process that data. But as you, Diego, said, we should go into direction of more democratized ecosystem. So the first step is to decouple the party making decision and the party aggregating and providing and analyzing the information. And this is exactly that. So we have multiple DeFi services that will hopefully use the Oracle, that have ability for the first time to know who they are interacting with. They can query the Oracle, they are getting the results, but that's the end of our job. We are information provider. We are giving them ability to know, okay, this address have this flags in line with what we are providing on the normal report to centralized exchanges. So, for example, they are interacting heavy with DEXs, etc. We don't see any risk with that. We can proceed. And 99. That is interesting number. So. Last month, we have provided analytics report for a certain investment fund regarding the liquidity pool on given protocol, and we find out that less than 2% of the funds had any ties with any, let's say, high risk flags. So it was mostly regarding the hacks. So there is majority of the ecosystem is clear.
Yeah. I would say, Jakub, that is coherent with the data that was compiled around Bitcoin. No, that they were always saying, no, Bitcoin is for criminal usages, and the reality is that less than 2%, that was the outcome of some reports that were built, was related to criminal activities. Everything else was not. So it's very consistent. What you're sharing with us is very consistent with that. And in that sense, it's funny because I think like most criminal activity happens on the traditional financial infrastructure. So I think crypto in that,
sure.
sense, if it captures these compliance tools, can be more efficient in providing protection from money laundering and financings of terrorism than the traditional financial infrastructure, and do it in a more privacy protecting way for individuals. So it's a win-win for society, to move into this new infrastructure. And it makes sense because it's like here you have programmable money, so you can attach rules and have instant check, things that traditional financial systems cannot do.
And the case where banks are in the same time managing the funds and making decisions regarding the funds, so mostly regarding the compliance and getting all the informations, is creating that silo that in that case
and creating interest. No, because they are making business out of the money of their customers, and they are the ones checking the compliance. So they have sometimes if the incentives are big enough, they can choose on the money side and not on the compliance side. So
freezing few meals just for a month for compliance reason might be a nice interest gain on that funds. And here we have situation where we have smart contracts, so the DeFi service, either doing swaps or lends, etc., receiving the information, and they can make it, or their operators generally, they can make a decision what values are there are for them important, and only in the case of, for example, hack or proven hack, or for example the terrorist financing, which is, I believe, by majority of the ecosystem treated as a bad thing, they will, for example, drop the transaction. So I don't want to interact with you. I don't want to interact with your funds. But this is a additional difference between how banks are operating and how we can operate on the blockchain system, because the check is done during the transaction. It's a just subsequent call to a different smart contract. The funds are not blocked, but they are never received. So you're just providing the right to the DeFi service to decide, I don't want to interact with that person. I won't accept their fund. I won't block their fund. I just don't want to deal with that. And if we are speaking about the financial freedom, I believe this is the operators have every right to decide that they if they support certain values, they don't want to deal with people that are acting against the system.
Yeah, it's what we were discussing about the opt-in.
Yeah.
It's like you're not forced to transact with somebody, but you have the information and you can opt out of people who doesn't comply or is like bluntly playing against the system or society. So yeah, that's very interesting. I think this also. What are your thoughts, Jacob, in the context of the travel rule? Because I think the travel rule is something that is like, something that is being applied to the whole crypto ecosystem in a way that is much harsher than what is applied to the traditional financial system. No, because depending on the interpretation of the travel rule by local regulators, we might have cases where even peer-to-peer transactions are subject to compliance, something that doesn't happen anywhere else in the traditional financial system. I don't do compliance when I pay in cash to the shopper. So what do you think about that? Do you think with these tools we can sort out the travel rule needs while keeping the crypto ecosystem still usable?
Yeah, I think this is obviously the AML travel regulations for the crypto is just a copycatting from the traditional systems and treating a small exchange like a major bank that have every capability to do such things. But I believe this is. First of all, the speed of implementing the travel rules shows that there is a lot of gaps there. There is a lot of new rolling, new recommendations, and there is a lot of discussion how they should be interpreted, and this shows that this is not a clear guideline.
It feels on the other hand, it was rushed in. No, it was like forced to be put in place. Maybe due to political agenda, because it's not clear why something so relevant was pushed like last minute of a presidency of the FATF. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
now we are seeing how those gaps in the policies need to be filled out, so the regulators, the local regulators, can actually implement the rules, the policy.
Yeah, and we're partially part of that let's say discussion, because we as a compliance company, we try to build a solution to provide for exchanges to use, and the amount of, let's say, logic gaps, how it should work, was so big that it's hard to build something we can comfortably offer to the client. So we are more focusing on the POCs. But I believe what we are doing right now with the Oracle and the RSK ecosystem is actually indirect response to that problem, because showing to the regulator, showing to FATF that we can self-regulate, we can fill certain rules, that the vast majority of the ecosystem wants to be able to freely trade, filling certain requirements, but there is just a minimal amount of, let's say, bad blood in the community that tries to do something wrong. And most of us here is here because of the technology, because of the opportunity to build new financial markets, and some for the financial gains, obviously. But the malicious players are just the extreme minority. So self-regulation, building solutions that are taking the argument of crypto don't have any regulations. There is DeFi, you can freely trade whatever to whatever, and there is no AML. Taking that argument from the regulator's hand can actually make other new regulations that probably will come in much less harsh, and the discussion will be much more equal and partnership partner level, instead of you should do a travel rule and full KYC on every wallet-to-wallet transaction.
Yeah, which is crazy. I think you're right. I think sometimes these things are pushed out of fear or ignorance, of the true nature of what's coming. As we discussed before, less than 2% of transactions in the crypto space are related to criminal activity. That's less than the percentage on the traditional financial system. So I think this is more coming out of ignorance, or fear than actually understanding the nature. But as you say, if we proactively provide solutions to address the needs, and that will give peace of mind, and also, show that the industry can play along with the current society. Although I think, and this has happened with any innovation cycle in history, there will be a transformation of regulations and policies as well, because society, like innovation, change how society works for the good, because otherwise it wouldn't be adopted. And and regulations usually take some time to catch up. I always use the example of Skype. Skype changed all the telecommunication industry rules, and it was without proper regulation for 12 years. And it broke any rule in telecommunications, but nobody can tell that voice over IP or video over IP is not something that created enormous value for society. So at the end, regulation has to change, not the other way around. We were not saying, no, the Skype needs to stick with $1 per minute of communication rates, because that's what traditional telcos and are charging. It's the other way around. It's like how we adapt regulations, because this innovation is providing value for society. And I think this is exactly the same case. Different technologies now apply not to telecommunications, but to the financial industry. But regulation will also have to adapt. It's not only that technology needs to adapt to regulation. It's a two-way transformation. And Jakub, I see we have some questions. I think most of them are related to, address it to you. So maybe if you want, you can you can answer the questions, and I can chime in when I have something to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I will just quickly reply to regarding the regulations. We need to remember that there is a stick and the carrot, and the case with the investment fund approaching us for the analytics of given liquidity pool is important, because they also want to have exposure for these nice yields on the liquidity pools and all these opportunities. So there is also external pressure on the regulators to not just treat crypto as some bad thing, because a lot of current financial companies want to be participating in it. And regarding the question, so will we be able to stake AMLT directly in the RSK realm and avoid Ethereum? Yes, of course. We are working closely with the IOV team. Right now, the first AMLTs have crossed the bridge between Ethereum and RSK. RSK also developed the great solutions around the being compliant with the ERC20 protocol. So we want to be able to stake on the RSK. It should be technically possible right now, or it is technically possible right now. We have not released yet the public information how to do this, and everything will be catching on this. But obviously, Ethereum fees are extremely bad. We want as much of you to use RSK ecosystem because it's, if nothing at all, at least cheaper.
Yeah, I think it's like many times cheaper. Now, token transaction in Ethereum is a few dollars to some tens of dollars, depending on the state of the network. And in RSK, it's very steady. It's like around 15 cents per transaction. So I think to manage tokens is clearly an advantage. And I think, I imagine you will use a token bridge between Ethereum and RSK to transfer the tokens, like it's been done with other tokens, with DAI and USDT, the Tether. So I think you will use the same infrastructure now to move tokens from Ethereum to RSK and make them available there. So I think the other question is about the purpose and utility of AMLT token, who provides the sanction list, and how new addresses are added. That's the question.
Yeah, I think so. General response will be at this stage. We will be providing this as a Coinfirm. So obviously, as a Coinfirm CTO, I have pretty big faith into the quality of the data set and the truthness of this data, and it was also battle proven by the regulators or our clients over the years. However, we want to go more democratized road, and the whole AMLT 2.0 is exactly that. So we are expanding on something called network members to break down something called information providers, where anyone from the community holding AMLT or not having AMLT, doesn't matter, will be able to provide the data. And right now, the capacity of the blockchain ecosystem to process that data is not big enough to process and build a meaningful report and provide this on chain, or that will be extremely expensive. Currently, we have over a petabyte of the blockchain related data to process in our data warehouse. But over time, the staking part will be changing more into, let's say, second layer voting, where we'll be transitioning from this only stakers to let's say a system where this people staking AMLT have certain verification power over the data, because they want supposedly or assuming they want good for the token, for the ecosystem. So we will be giving them right to for example, remove certain parts or certain flags when, for example, it was maliciously added to the network. It's still in the discussion. Obviously, this needs to be done carefully. We don't want to be, this
having false positives, or it's like I think there are things that can be improved. I mean, this is a process, no? So I think we will iterate. This is something new, so we can iterate on that. I see some arbitrage systems like Kleros, for example, that I think might be interesting to have kind of an arbitrage system where people can challenge certain flagging and have attached to certain flagging like discussions about the flagging and defense mechanism. I think those could be evolutionary steps for this that could be very interesting. Like also use the wisdom of the crowd to start like creating like these flagging systems. So I leave that to you, maybe for the discussions in the future to think of.
Of course, there's there's a lot of potential to decentralize and decouple certain aspects from the let's say monolithic centralized system and put them on the blockchain. And for sure, we'll be trying most of that solutions first on the RSK because of that, even the fact of the fees. So I was deploying the Oracle, the AMLT Oracle to the Ethereum and the RSK, and it was tenfold difference in the cost of and deploying the complicated, because the AMLT Oracle is not a single contract. It's actually a set of contracts.
Multiple smart contracts, interacting.
There is storage contract, there is payment contract, there is access contract, etc. So if deployment cost of the smart contracts goes into tens of thousands of dollars, how we want the smaller developers, smaller community to be able to do stuff, it's ridiculous. So for sure, we'll be trying the more decentralized, more democratized systems. Right now, we want to start showing to the regulators that the DeFi right now have access to that information, that they are using this information, and it's up to their decision which flags they want to implement, which flags they want to focus on. And with time, we'll be testing more and more scenarios.
And I think there are some questions that I think I can address related to what is the difference between this Oracle and Chainlink. I think Chainlink can be used for AMLT Oracle as well, no? Because I think Chainlink conceptually is an Oracle protocol, so you can use that Oracle protocol to validate all sorts of conditions. I don't know exactly if you, Jacob, have that in your roadmap of using the Chainlink protocol, as well as maybe
we actually even have partnership announced with the Chainlink. So with all going on, we are not yet able to deploy this and plug it to their ecosystem. But I believe I totally agree with you. In the end goal, that I believe Chainlink is targeted more to someone who is interacting with blockchain, but as a side solution. And Oracle is more of a on-chain direct smart contract to smart contract communication.
Good. And yeah, and like a connected question is like, could Chainlink integrate with RSK in the future? The answer is yes. I don't want to ruin the breaking news, but it's coming very soon. That's already in process. Is coming very soon to the mainnet. Indeed, it's already working on testnet, and the Chainlink ecosystem is coming to the mainnet of RSK very soon. I think we have another, like, any idea how much AMLT will be needed to stake?
So yeah, right now it's yeah. The technical answer will be at least one. So the GUI equivalent. So 18 leading zeros and one AMLT. Obviously, the stake is calculated proportionally to your stake, to the reward pool, etc. So there is no minimal amount, but you probably don't want to stake less than one AMLT.
Great. And there's another question. I don't want to derail the conversation here, because they are asking me about the purpose of the RIF token, and I think like explaining that in full will be very, very long. But conceptually, the RIF token is the token of the RIF economy. That is an economy, a sharing economy of infrastructure services to scale, make blockchains scale, make them easy to use, and also to create purely peer-to-peer internet infrastructure. So the RIF economy is like filling the gap. Is like the if you want the third layer in our vision, in the RSK vision, because we have Bitcoin as layer one, that's store of value and the security infrastructure. Then you have RSK, that is agreement settlement, financial services, all the things where you can do economic coordination of different parties. And then you have the infrastructure layer, that is RIF, the third layer. And all together, they create a truly peer-to-peer internet. That is the combination of one concept I've been sharing, that is the internet of value, plus a new peer-to-peer internet, all in one. So it's like regaining, if you want, the original spirit of the peer-to-peer internet, but based on Bitcoin, secured by Bitcoin, and with decentralized technology at its core. And the RIF token is at the heart of this economy, this infrastructure economy. So, but I think I will give some talks to get deeper later today at Consensus. So those interested to go deeper there, you can see that presentation.
Yeah, from my side, just adding, because we are working together with RSK and IOV for quite a long time. So definitely, guys are doing awesome products, and being into the blockchain ecosystem, seeing certain technological solution around the RSK ecosystem, they are quite good and interesting. So you should definitely follow the RIF ecosystem, because it's great. And there are reasons why we want to cooperate with Diego and his awesome team, because being able to work together with a certain protocol gives you ability to not only create solutions much faster, but on, let's say, on the purely technological level, you can create more advanced solution, because let's say with Ethereum or some other protocols, you are relying only on the documentation, and there are always lags and gaps in the documentation. Here, when we can work with a team that actually coded the solution, you can just develop much faster and have much better product.
Well, and in the process, I think RIF is finally reaching the maturity level we wanted to actually start working with the solution developers like you, Jacob, and we are in the final stages. But our original vision for RIF was to offer developers APIs, documentation, and libraries, so we could abstract the complexities of using decentralized infrastructure for developers, so they could focus on solving the business needs. No, so I think as you have been working with us for a while, you know that this has been improving and maturing, and now we are very close to the point where I think during this year we will reach that original step of the vision that was like to give developers of solutions like you and the tools so they can like take the full potential of decentralized infrastructure without having to get deeper into the protocol. So you can focus on the needs of your customers, because at the end, I think that's when the true value of decentralized infrastructure will be seen, when developers can put all their resources and efforts into creating more value for the end user. I think in this early stage of decentralized infrastructure that I think it's ending this year. I think I said that for a while. This is the beginning of mass adoption of cryptocurrencies and decentralized infrastructure and decentralized technologies. And in the past years, we have been like working like making the solution developers like getting to the guts of the beast and getting into very technical and concepts and things that were deviating them from their true purpose, that is provide value for the customers. No, so I think this, with all these tools in place and a full stack of decentralized infrastructure built on Bitcoin, we will see that in the coming years we will see like mushrooming of solutions that use decentralized infrastructure and create a lot of value for the end user. So thank you for your words, because I think it's like you are the reason. I mean, you are the reason why we have been building the RIF infrastructure. Is like to provide a full stack of decentralized infrastructure for the solution developers. They can use and use it in an efficient way. No. So
yeah, and I think Diego won't mind to slightly ruin the surprise, but we're also working to have a reference implementation on the RSK chain with some of their reference products. So this is again the why it's really important and really great to have that synergy, because contrary to other protocols, there will be an actual implementation working, where someone can come in, see, okay, this is working that way. Here are the subqueries to the smart contract. Here are the responses. Look on how it works before actually implementing this.
That's amazing for developers. That's great, because as you say, like trying to build things like guessing through the code or things is like having a reference implementation goes a long way to have developers be efficient.
It's always the hardest to do certain things for the first time, and yes, working together we can just do it and let others to use that work to focus on their solution, their product, but adding the AML layer quickly and efficiently.
Yes, and somebody, I think we are in the final minutes, no, but somebody is like saying some nice things like RSK and AMLT are both great projects, and together with Sovereign will be amazing. Great work, guys. Thank you for the comments. I agree. It's like we are building an ecosystem I'm very proud of the RSK ecosystem, like projects like AMLT, Sovereign, Money on Chain, the wallets in our ecosystem, DeFi and Bixo, all the projects. Tropicus just joined. All the projects are like top quality projects. It's like they are building things to last. That's what I like of what is growing in the RSK ecosystem. It's like there's this consciousness of like we are building protocols for the next decades, not just for the short term. And I think, of course, sometimes it's difficult to navigate through the hypes and everything, but like this is gaining momentum. And, it's like, I love this phrase from Hemingway that says like something like slowly, then suddenly, or, it's like things like go growing, and then suddenly they emerge when enough synergy is built. And we are in that point where synergies are being built. And I think much like the bamboo that takes 7 years to grow roots and then, shoots at an amazing pace. I think we are in that process. Like we have been setting roots, and now the moment to blossom is here. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and building things properly always takes more time, and it's also seen on our side. So we had to spend some time with AMLT to build certain models, build certain solutions, to even build the Oracle. We went through multiple implementations of fundamentally the same idea, but seeing how differently the DeFi operates now versus how the blockchain ecosystem was 2 or 3 years ago. So it always takes more time. It always takes more work to do some things properly. But when they're done, they should be able to be used for years to come.
Yes. Okay, I think this has been amazing. We have went through the whole. I think we manage. It's a complex topic. So many like technical elements, regulatory aspects, political aspects, different. Individuals' rights is so rich. No, you might say, okay, it's only AMLT or regulation, but it touches so many points, and I think I love how this conversation flow through the talk. I don't know if you want, Jacob, on my side, just thank you for choosing the RSK ecosystem to build your things and to work with IOV Labs. As I said, I'm very proud of the projects like yours in the RSK ecosystem. It's like that's it from my side. I don't know if you want to have some closing words as well.
Yeah, so we went definitely slightly more technical than, for example, regulatory wise. So if anyone is interested more regarding that, let's say more legal stuff, hit either me up or hit the contact@coinfirm.com. We have materials. There are people in our team that have vast regulatory knowledge, and if you are here on this webinar, you probably have some questions regarding the what is coming into the DeFi from the regulatory perspective, because we are working with certain regulators, so we can share that knowledge. From the technical part, I believe, again, pleasure to work with you, Diego, and your team. We are extremely happy to be part of the RSK ecosystem, and I hope we'll be able to share the same quality, great news, let's say each quarter or something, with each new implementation and solution and functionalities added to the AML Oracle on the RSK ecosystem.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.